This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, all. I'd like to call the Village of Ephraim Board meeting to order. It is Monday, June 22nd, 2026 at 12 noon. And we have a quorum?
We do indeed.
Okay. Any changes in the agenda?
No changes, Ken?
Okay, thank you. And any visitors' comments, or you can hold your comments when we get to your topic. Okay, hearing none. Number 5, administration. We have 2 topics we want to discuss today. We'll start with the top one. A, village contribution to the Anderson Dock capital campaign for the Anderson Dock project. And Mike McCutcheon, who is our task force leader, is here today. So I'll turn the floor over to you. And there's no need for people to get up. If
No,
else,
we're all good now.
okay, be comfortable.
Do we have anybody?
Bierman and caller number 2, I guess.
Because we sent it to Tony, and then he said he didn't get it. Kim sent it again, and because he's one of the main proponents of
Okay.
our meeting today. But we are here to again reiterate the need for more money from the village. As we mentioned last time, Doug McCoy mentioned that in many projects, the village or town has contributed at least 1/3 of the total price. And we looked this up, and right now, there's $100,000 from the CIF, there's $100,000 from the village, thank you. And the village has spent $161,000 for engineering drawings, graffiti abatement. And roughly that adds up to $361,000. If we take the cost of the restoration of Ephraim, the Anderson Dock, not the endowment, I rounded it off to 1.7 million. If we divide that by 1/3, that comes out to $566,700. Subtracting the $361,000 that the village has all donated or spent, that leaves $205,700. So we are here today to ask the village for an additional $200,000, which would bring you up to the magic 1/3. Tony is there. So that's the basis for why we're here, and those are the numbers for why we're here. Tony, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Why don't you kick this off, because you were one of the main driving forces for this. Why don't you repeat again, if you would, to the board, your thinking on why the village should contribute at least 1/3 of the cost of the project.
Okay, thank you. I look at this from 2 standpoints. One as a potential donor, and one as a potential solicitor. And I look at this how if somebody comes to me and says, I wanted money for the dock, how I'm going to react to that. And if it would be an easy reaction if this was a private property that we were buying, like the Iverson house, that was an easy one. But when you start talking about putting money into the village's properties, then you get a reaction from everybody, and it's a questionable reaction. It's not a bad reaction, but everybody wonders, why isn't the village taking care of this completely? So, and that is, as a fundraiser, that's the problem that we are going to go against, because the donor is going to ask that question, and we're going to have, I think, substantial money from the village to show their indication of total interest in this project before the public becomes interested in this project. I don't disagree that everybody and his brother, 99% of the people would be all for this, but it's a problem that it's already a village property, and so we have to convince donors that they should be contributing. And I think that there's enough money thrown in by the village, and as you were going to see, you already know, it's already several ways that this is being done. I think it's going to be very important to make this fundraising effort a success. I'll say just one more thing before, because I'm going to forget it later. This is also a good time because donors may ask the question, is to just go over the covenants of the Anderson barn, that it can't be demolished, can't be moved, those kinds of things. Maybe that's well covered. Maybe that's chipped in stone. Hopefully it is, but maybe the village and this group should take a look at that too, because I think that's going to be important. They don't want a building that's going to disappear in 15 years or 10 years with a new board and a new group. So anyhow, that's our thought. We need a substantial amount of money from the village to really go to donors, to expect them to step forward.
Thank you. Let me read Steve Sauter, who's going to try to be here, and he can't at the moment, but he sent this to me. He said, "I'm sorry, I will not be able to attend the meeting today. In my opinion, Anderson Dock maintenance is primarily the responsibility of the Village of Ephraim. The village exists to maintain the property that is owned in trust by the village for the benefit of the village taxpayers. There is no more popular piece of property owned by the village than Anderson Dock. It's an iconic location, and the barn on the dock is one of the most reproduced views in the state. Property, of course, includes other interested parties. The Ephraim Marina facility should participate financially, and the tourism tax funds to improve infrastructure used by both residents and tourists could have no higher use than supporting the maintenance of the dock and the facilities. I also believe that the Ephraim Foundation is likely to financially support the project, as their mission is, quote, to preserve and to foster preservation of historical monuments, buildings, structure, and sites and collections," end quote. As a resident and taxpayer in the village, I believe I am already supporting the project by my property tax payments. Please direct a portion of that payment to the maintenance of Anderson Dock, Steve Sauter. So that's Steve's opinion on this. So basically, it's, if we don't get the $200,000, how do we finesse this with the initial big donors who know where their money's going? They're not dumb, and they will probably, as Tony said, ask the question. And either you guys can provide us with an answer, or it would be helpful if you provided us with the additional $200,000. I don't know if anybody else here has further comments.
I guess I would just add that we've kind of known from the beginning that this would be one of the biggest obstacles, is that question, why is the village not taking care of that themselves? And I think through our work with the Door County Community Foundation, they're really helping us craft a good message for that. But they did say that it's really important that the village has skin in the game as well. And although we haven't, publicly gone out and started soliciting funds, the few kind of casual conversations I've had, that's the number one question I get. So again, the greater contribution the village can have, I think it's going to make, the return on investment is going to be well worth it, because it's, you're not going to be having to fight or answer that question. Like, yeah, they're throwing in the third, and they have skin in the game. We were all in this together kind of a situation.
Rob?
I have to agree with what's been said so far. I don't really have anything new to add to it. The other question outstanding is kind of the endowment part that we've kind of kicked around as to what that could be solved. Maybe the village also committing to being the maintainer going forward. So it may be creating a pool so that there's a physical presence as opposed to just a promise. That maybe also help in convincing people that the village has got enough skin in the game.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Maybe go around the board for comments. Matt, I'm going to start with you. Comments or thoughts?
Well, your request to me is not unreasonable, it makes sense. The only thing I'm not quite sure about is where that came to that the Village of Ephraim was not going to maintain it. I don't ever remember being any meetings where the village said that they were not going to do the maintenance and maintain the building.
I think that maybe that was referring to over the years.
Right, what I'm saying is that one hand, we showed that we never took care of the building.
I don't think that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I don't think that that's what our group is asking for, and I did kind of, Steve referenced maintaining a lot, he's also not part of our task force, so he's just a private, individual resident, and I think he didn't mean like general maintenance on him, but more maintain or preserve or, down the road. So as if, if our committee didn't raise these funds, what would happen to Anderson Dock? Would the village choose not to repair it for the future? I think that's what he's referencing, not the, annual maintenance kind of thing. And again, that he's just one voice that's not representative of or representing our task force.
I guess from my own personal view, that thought never crossed my mind as something that village would not be interested in doing. I mean, from a commitment standpoint.
Yeah, and I don't want to put words in Steve's mouth either, and Carly, maybe I'm interpreting this wrong, or you could say it better, but I think what he's saying is, say we didn't raise any money or no one would give us any money, would the village then say, too bad, or would the village be able to pay for all of this? So I think that's what Steve is trying to say. I mean,
that was my interpretation of it, but I don't mean to, I don't mean to speak.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, and I am kind of wearing dual hats in this situation. I am gonna be one of those people that's gonna have to go out and ask for money, and that I'm also going to be someone who has insights, as a village board member. But I do think that, as Sarah said, one of the main questions, and it's even something that is, the question that is kind of pervasive for the group, is trying to be able to go out and be able to say with confidence that this is not just supporting the village is just as invested in this project as we are, and we see this as, we're showing that commitment by paying for a third, we being the village, paying a third of the project, and then also recognizing at the same time that this is an iconic piece of Door County. There are people who would be invested in this. It is a part of marketing kind of throughout the county. It's not just an Ephraim project. So it's trying to find that balance and being able to answer those questions confidently at the same time that you're asking for money out of the other side of your mouth. So that's kind of the pickle that we're finding. We being, again, now putting my hat on as a solicitor. So that's really where this kind of conundrum comes in. And so putting in, additional funding. I was making notes, and we've kind of talked about this, is how do we acknowledge what marinas and moorings might be potentially putting into the project, even if it is, I think you even have said maybe only like $20,000 for that component of it. So do we acknowledge that as the village's part of the village's contribution? Or, coming back to Matt, we have also talked about and have been asked, trying to ask a question, and it's very hard to put a number to, like, how much ongoing time and maintenance time is put into, it's like they grab garbage, they're mowing the lawn, like also recognizing that as a commitment as well. And, it doesn't necessarily have to just be writing a big check. Those are things that we can kind of put into the marketing materials to show there is that ongoing commitment as well. So there's a lot of different ways that we can kind of talk about this, and it's just, Yeah.
Rick, comments?
I guess a question for Mike first. Your numbers of the additional 200,000 or 300,000, what?
361.
Okay,
No.
so
This is where we are right now.
That's where we are now.
Yeah.
how did you derive, so we have 100,000 from our last meeting and then 261 we spent already? I thought you said
No.
161.
100,000 from the meeting,
Okay,
100,000 from the CIF,
okay,
room tax money from the
Sure.
central people, and then 161,000, so that's.
I was just, yeah, I wanted to hear the breakdown, okay, that makes sense, all right. I guess, I don't have necessarily a problem with this at all, you know, the village kicking in more. I guess the question I always have in some things like this is, how much, at what level do we contribute where we no longer have a problem with potential donors? I mean, I'm wondering, I don't know if I'm making a slippery slope argument here or not, but, let's say the village kicks in the additional money, and then, you get more pushback. I'm assuming you're getting some pushback more than just Steve Slaughter or other people, or maybe not. But, and I understand that if we agree to do that, I'm not saying that it's a closed issue at that point necessarily, but, how much are we safe in contributing and saying, hey, we have our skin in the game, this is a substantial contribution, or are there gonna be other people that say, well, the village needs to spend half, or the village should just do this? One of the things that, since I've been on the board that I've had to learn is that we really are kind of a user pays village when it comes to our infrastructure. And we have a marinas budget that has X number of dollars in it, and that is funded by the slip owners and the slip users, et cetera. Same thing with the airport. I guess I would say that if we could continue that system and contribute some more money, and then have the people that are involved in the fundraising say, hey, this is, when you factor in also the maintenance and all the other things that the village does, that this is a very substantial contribution, and we think that you should donate. I mean, is that a fair assessment, a fair statement as to this?
Yeah, I think it is. First of all, I would say, personally, and probably everybody, we don't want to fail. We don't want to, we just didn't do it, and we want to talk about coming back to the village. This was the #1 capital project when we asked the village what they wanted. This was #1, okay? And so that's one answer. We don't want to fail. Two, question slippery slope and exactly how. This came from Britt McCoy, who said that there is success when a entity will put in 1/3. If that leads, that's where we got this. And, he is our consultant, and he's done this a long more
It's
time.
almost a psychological thing.
Well, yeah. He has talked about that. So, I guess those two things, that's how we look at this. We don't want to fail, and our consultant says, if you can.
Do this later. I'm trying to listen. Mike?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I would just like to mention to the village board that the village board has absolutely nothing to lose here. The money raised, if we don't make the numbers that we need, the village will get the money anyhow, but they won't get the whole thing. They'll just have to raise the rest of it on their own.
That's true. Another way we could look at this is, we'd like this to last, and if we can then take this and mate it with the endowment, but we would like this to last another 54 years. 1972 is when they last did it. I'd like to be able to say that we've done it through village's contribution and your contribution, Mr. and Ms. Donor, okay, to carry it through, and then also yes, if you're interested, we'd love to have you give some money to the endowment. But it's that long-term picture that I think we're looking at with this. So,
I very much appreciate your efforts. I guess I have one more question, and that is, when you're talking to donors, are you or are they making a distinction between the funds and the needs for the infrastructure part of it, the slips, the things that people use, with the boats, versus kind of the iconic part of it?
Absolutely.
That seems like that's a pretty big distinction.
No, it has been made.
I think maybe to answer your question a little bit differently, and again, I'm putting the non-village
Sure.
board hat on. Again, this is difficult for me, but when we talk to different donors, we have different marketing materials that are based on their kind of profile of, do they have interest more from the voting perspective? Do they have interest more from the preservation perspective? And so when we talk about it, it's not that we're trying to hide anything, but it's like we can then say that we're answering more questions or being able to present materials more from that perspective to kind of show that, yes, there is going to be some benefits towards the marina, but the reality is it's not it is a big, I don't know, right? Like it's hard to like pull them apart, but we kind of highlight that perspective, if that's more of what you're asking.
But thank you.
Jim, your comments, please.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm wearing two hats. I'm on the committee as well as the board. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The task force. The task force has not really finished training and has not started fundraising efforts yet. There have been fundraising efforts underway at a much different level than what the task force will be doing. And that's the only real fundraising, the only soliciting that has been done, in relation to this task force. Defining failure to fundraise, let's have the village kick in 1.6 million. I'm sorry, it's like, that's where Rick was kind of going with it. Yeah, if the village kicks in enough, we're sure to be successful fundraising, a tiny slice. The whole point when we got into this as a village board was, it's village property. Of course it is. We're not going to get halfway through the project, say, oh, we ran out of funds and shut down Anderson Dock. Ain't going to happen. So, all we really wanted to see from the board, and I'm sure there are some different opinions at this table, but in my view, we wanted to see how many people want to participate in this countywide. It isn't just Ephraim, it isn't just Northern Door, it's not just Door County, it's Northeast Wisconsin, it's Wisconsin. A lot of people recognize Anderson Dock as an important and valuable and relatable icon for, their, I don't know what you'd say, their happy place. What they feel good about. This isn't a business, it isn't something else. It's not a sports team, it's strictly feeling really good about a place. And Brett McCoy still needs to teach, at least me, as a member of the task force, how to present that to potential donors. We have a long way to go in that respect before we are actually talking to people. And honestly, to me, the task force can rest assured Anderson Dock will be completed. And I would like to hear what Brett McCoy says as far as how do we present our case, our proposal. And we need to find out just how popular the fund giving, the contributor base is. Brett seems to be very confident that we can raise the money. He calls this a small project. a small thing. Of course, we're all going, oh yeah, I am not worthy. But he thinks we are. So I think that we need to go forward with that in mind. The idea of, the village was already approached. I mean, first of all, we do have as a village 161,000 into it, plus, marinas and moorings will be chipping in something, and we could figure that out, but it's kind of small change, in the big picture. We're talking, Brent, I said like 20, maybe $30,000. I don't know. It's just for that utility trench. The driveway's already torn up. The utilities, the power and water is all getting changed, and half of that trench length is actually used for access for the main water and electrical supply up, that comes from Anderson Store. So it's really not all that much. And marinas and moorings doesn't, we're not getting new piers out of this. We're not getting new pedestals or anything out of it. With anything like that, marinas and moorings pays for. But okay, there's 161,000, and let's add 20, 181,000. And then 100,000 that the village board committed to, and then 100,000 more that the village board solicited from Destination Door County and got. I feel like village, and we own the property. When this is all over with, the village still owns it. Okay, we have skin in the game. I don't think we're going to have trouble convincing contributors. It's not like they're bailing us out of a hole that we just absolutely cannot get out of without them. It isn't that kind of fundraiser to me. And, I don't like going public with all this stuff early in the fun, because we really aren't at that point with the task force yet. But that's all true, and anybody with a head can see that. I don't think that there's a real need to push the village to commit more funds. All we have to do is find out from Brett how to relate to people and say, look, the village owns this property. It's not going to go away if you don't contribute this money. You're going to contribute this money only if you really want to. Now, Brett's going to put it differently. He's going to put it better. But in the end, that's kind of where it comes down. So my feeling as far as needing to chip in more money before the task force is even started, it's not necessary. It would be nice, mind you, it would be nice, but I don't think it's necessary. Because as Rick was kind of saying, and anybody else understands, it's going to get done. It was going to get done before we thought of fundraising. Okay.
I'd like to make a few comments.
Could I answer that?
Anthony, I'd like to speak first.
Go ahead.
Mike and I were on the board together, Mike, of course, being the president, when the whole capital projects idea came about. And indeed, we had 5 projects that we came up with, and Anderson Dock was the Uno. I will say at the time, the water was going up. We took measures. We were concerned about the building, which is really the historic part of the dock, in my opinion. The dock is historic, but the building's iconic. And we took measures to save the building. Fortunately, now the water has gone down, so we're not at risk right now as we were before. But what I also remember is that we have people over the years, I've been on the board, this is my 8th year, that have approached us and said, when you get going on this project, we'd like to participate. And I firmly believe those people are out there. And it seems like, I listened to Brett McCoy's presentation. I remember him saying that, I think I'll paraphrase this correctly, that if we can get halfway there, it's $1.5 million, we get 750 with the big donors, then you can start to go to the broad marketplace of all these people that Tim described. And I would say, for Tim's description, I wouldn't stop in the state of Wisconsin. I mean, there's a lot of people that love this structure all over the Midwest. But it seems to me now, a week or so ago, Mike, you were here, and we all agreed that 100 of additional donation to what we've already done would be the right number. And if we would go to 500,000, which would be, I guess, or whatever the number was, 600, which would be a third, well, you'd be 2/3 of your way to getting the halfway point where Brett, I remember him saying, this is where we can go and say, we'll match it. Okay, Ken, if you donate money now, I'm gonna match it 2 for 1 or 1 for 1 because of the big donors to begin with. So I'm coming from the same place, I think, as Tim. I would like for you all to get started. I think the fact that you can say that we're at close to 400,000, I mean, to me, that's nothing to sneeze at. And what also has been stated here is, I think it's gonna be tremendously successful. I'm just terribly optimistic with the big picture. But let's say the time comes and we wanna build this, I think, a year from this winter is our goal.
Next fall, 27.
Okay, a year from this fall, yeah, great. I think if you came back to the board, and I'll say this is one voting member, and we were short, we close again. So I would rather save what we might need for the end and see how y'all do and be there, because we're not going to say, yeah, we're gonna go on another project. I mean, we're gonna take whatever money we have, in my opinion, and complete this project a year from this fall. So I would rather hold off on any more funding from the village. And, you know, given the fact that you could honestly say that we're about $400,000, the village is into it. So to me, that's a commitment. I've heard the arguments, because I remember when we first started this, we had some people that said, you know, this should be a village project. And you can make that argument. It's our dock, it's our structure. But of all the other things in Door County, this is so unique in raising money. It's not like a commercial enterprise. It's not, you know, rejuvenating the Y or building a new library or whatever. This is iconic structure. And we said from the beginning that our goal was, when we're done, you'll drive past it and never notice we did anything. So we're really selling history now. You know, and the maintenance of that history forever in the future. So I would like to see you all get started on the fundraising and then see where it goes. And if we get a year from now and we've got a gap or wherever we are, when we said, hey, we got to bid this thing, I believe this board is going to be sitting right here. We're going to back you up.
I'll take that today in a binding motion.
A binding motion saying that we'll make up the difference?
Yeah, right.
Please.
Can I add to that?
Oh, just a second, Tony.
There's nobody that wants this to succeed more than me,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. And the final comment I wanted to make is when we started this whole thing with the task force, I think we were all convinced that we can raise some money. That in the long run, whether it be, you know, like the Packers raise money for their stadium, and boy, they raise money. With stock certificates, all sorts of different things, but there's a lot of cool ways that I'm sure you guys are gonna talk about and come up with. But I think it's important if we have people, we had one person on the committee that just didn't agree with us, so he came off the committee, and that's fine. But I think the committee's gotta be, or the task force has to be committed. We're gonna try like heck to raise this money.
Oh, you got that commitment. There's
Yeah,
no question.
I know.
There's no question
I know.
about that.
I know.
I don't want to fail, okay?
We
And I'm just-
we won't let you fail.
And I'm just, we'll take that motion with.
You think that would make your position stronger?
No, I'd sleep at night.
Oh, well, I don't want you staying awake over this night. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I guess I personally am basing this on what Brett said
Mhm.
and his experience. And if we think this is just, you know, this is an absolute, gotta do it no matter what, and more so, and we work into, because what sort of shocked me the last time we kind of went, all of a sudden he tacks on $1.5 million for endowment.
He never.
I know, he
always
said it was a
a
placeholder. He said it was a placeholder. And I would like to see that be successful, because then the village is off the hook for a number of years with the investment and whatnot, so.
So
Well,
Mike, I'd like to add to that. Is that all right? I'd like to mention, first of all, the campaign literature is being put together. Very soon, like I think tomorrow, they're going to start working on it. So we can't have numbers that are all over the place. We need firm numbers. Number two, let's say we go way big. I love your optimism. I love your optimism on how this campaign is going to just roll with money. It took us 5 years to get $1.1 million for the Iverson House, but we got it. But the point here is that let's say we make that goal and make it in a year or two, that'll be fabulous. But let's say we get a lot more money. That's going to go into an endowment that's going to help take care of that dock in perpetuity. So the village they have nothing to lose by putting in $300,000 total, because if we go over that mark, it's all going to go to the good of the village in an endowment.
Good point, thank you, appreciate it. Brett?
2 comments.
Brett.
Try to hold myself to 2. One has kind of already been said, but just for the board, I don't want to use the word scheme, but this wasn't a scheme to try to raise funds so we didn't end up, being financially responsible. That was put to the board by various individuals along the way. There's a tremendous opportunity to raise the capital for this project. So this wasn't something the board conjured.
Right.
And then 2, I think leaning on Brett for a little guidance and put their own stamp behind it, because typically the CIF, which is an arm of DCCF, which is an arm of DDC, gave the $100,000. Typically they don't, and they stress this, put their money behind something that's a pie in the sky. They want to know they're contributing something that's actually going to get built, which is why they don't typically get involved with the engineering phase. Typically, again, like many donors, they want to be, put it over the top to get it built. So I think they're in the best position of anybody to put their own organizational stamp behind it that say, we feel strongly enough that this is going to get built. That's why we were awarded them $100,000 to kick off this capital. So I think whether they're willing to put their own stamp behind it, the fact that they did should be a shot in the arm.
Do you, and I feel like we've talked about potentially going back for a second CIF, was it within the North End Path context, or was it within this context?
We talked about that within this, we designated 2 parts of the project. I believe the building, and was the second one, the dock surface. We asked for $40,000. Now, as this goes on, I would be game to go back to them a second time, because even there, and I'm in the tourism zone, everyone knows Anderson Dock. You'd be hard pressed to say, no, that's not the #1. There's a #1 of Pebble Beach, whatever it might be. It's Anderson Dock. And believe me, BD Thorpe can tell you, because every morning he's over there kind of correcting things that should have been on the Anderson Dock, but it gets people's attention and people ping there every single day. So we could go back there.
So that might be another, again, putting now my other hat on is that could be 2 of the commitments that we make, is that we attempt for another CIF grant, which is on the village's time and energy, absolutely, and the beneficiary. And the other part is, if we don't make it as a committee, you're gonna, you now village, would make up the difference.
What do we think about I know that'll help you sleep at night, but would that be, sometimes I think we shoot ourselves in the foot. Because if you come and ask me for money, and then I just heard the village board say, well, you know what, you guys can't collect it, we'll pay for it, and then it's like, we don't need
Well,
money.
that's, and that's
So we're
why
kind of caught in between there.
That's
Part
not
of
gonna
it
be
should
our
be
answer, so.
Right.
well, that's, again, thinking about it from the soliciting, putting it in there at the front end is, right?
What's there already?
Right.
You also have the commitment at the back end of maintaining, but that's not.
Which we tried to think
So,
about putting a number as
Right.
well.
Well, yeah, you could, if you want, you could, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Let me have that before.
Okay,
I
go
was
ahead.
saying, so I keep hearing this word commitment, and I haven't been on the board as long as you have. But I don't know of any board before me having not committed, I've been serving with you, never heard the board say we're not gonna commit funds to maintain a village property. And I keep hearing this commitment thing, and I don't, where's this commitment thing coming from? I mean, what evidence do you have to say that we are not committed to a village piece of property?
Can I say something?
Whoa,
Well, what I.
hold on. You gotta put on your village report.
I was going to.
Okay, let Matt finish.
Do you,
I think people want to hear it anyway, even though everybody understands it, because we own it, the village owns it, that you're going to maintain it. But, stating that, just or repeating to say that we're going to maintain this after it's redone, this is an extra benefit in trying to get over this argument, you own it, so why should we fund it?
right, so I mean,
Yeah.
if, as Chuck Pearson would say in front of us, what problem are we trying to solve here?
Charlie's asked for the
So
floor
that
now,
would, so one of the things, again, within the marketing materials that would be helpful to show that the village does, participate within this overall funding is if we could put a number to the annual amount of money that we spend on maintenance every year. And that goes into like the village's total, and that would be something that if we could think about what that looks like, does it have to be? I mean, I'm not saying make it up, but I think we could probably spend a little bit of time to show what the village puts in with kind of the ongoing maintenance. I know that there's the opening up the buildings at the beginning of the season and shutting them down at the end of the season. There's, all of the mowing that goes in, the garbage is picked up, all of,
Graffiti, the graffiti
Yeah.
debate.
yeah, all of that stuff can be on showing like what the village does regularly. And that's what I'm saying, if we put a little bit of time and effort into putting that number together, it's like, what is it, a blended annual, like hourly rate that we think about with our maintenance team, things like that. I think we can put numbers to that and give the credit to the village.
Mike?
If I may,
Please.
the thought occurred to me, and I'm gonna multiply that number by 50 years.
That's what I was gonna say.
I have another
Just
idea that might.
bring that, we're gonna have maintenance every year until, let's just say 50 years.
Well,
Let's bring that back to a present value, and that's,
okay.
count that as village contribution right now. We're committed.
Mike, as you know, we have capital accounts in the village. We save money for fire trucks and we save money for the village hall and so forth. And we're gonna have a meeting this week about capital account. One thing we could consider is establishing, I don't believe we have a capital account for Anderson Dock. I just don't remember seeing one.
It doesn't sound like.
We could consider establishing one now. I guess it'd have to be approved this fall, but start to look at that. And the simplistic way of looking at it is $1.5 million to fix this thing. You'd have to escalate in the future and then divide it by 50 something. And that's what would go in every year. And the village, that would be a way of us making a real long-term. Here we're committing $380,000 to do the capital project. But that long-term maintenance project, we are now gonna start to make a commitment that we'll meet every year, because as you know, we load up those capital accounts every year. We could figure out what a donation would be to that capital account, figure out how we're gonna do it. But then that would show the commitment of the village both to do the building and then to take care of.
That's an excellent, actually,
I like that idea too.
that comes down to the answer. If we're asked that, we can say, hey, in response to this, village is setting up a capital account and it will, over the next 50 years, that's work, guys.
And we're meeting
How does that
Tomorrow, next
dovetail in with the endowment?
Well,
I get it, if you're trying
that would
to
go in
say,
there, that would go in there too. As we collect that endowment, that would go into that
but
and
is
be
that
reserved.
endowment housed with the foundation?
No,
No. We can do endowment fundraising until the end of time, that'd be a continuing thing forever, I think. I guess I would say, I don't think that we should have a motion and a vote, making a difference, because to me, that's just a self-fulfilling prophecy.
yes, self-defeating almost.
Yes.
in some ways.
Yeah.
That was said, yes.
No,
Clear that up, but.
No,
I
understood.
think that it's helpful that maybe we've given the people that are doing the hard work on this some way to respond to
Well, I
questions.
think this last time is really, to me, now the answer. When people ask that, is that the village is gonna set up and blah, blah, blah. I hope you do.
no, we will. In fact, we will talk about it in the next couple of days. And we will have something set up, I can't tell you exactly how big it's gonna be funded, because the number's gonna be pretty big.
Or how?
Or how,
Without radical change, it's not happening.
right.
I'll just say that.
Well, yes, we'll have to look at ways to generate additional funds to fund
Because
that.
I mean, typically, and I guess this is a unique situation, but I mean, we have like the hall on or the roof on the village hall, we have, HVAC, not buildings. There is no building that has its own capital reserve account.
Well, the hall in a way does, but it's made of components. But you're right, we're not saving to replace the hall. We're not doing that. So maybe this would be,
Do you have a portfolio?
so, and the long-term replacement. And it would be a place then, if we're successful, and we get past the 1.7 in all the contributions to build this thing, and then continue to look for it, it would be a place to house that money. Sure. Because that should be housed in the village, not outside the village.
Oh, right, absolutely, that part.
Yeah, and dedicated.
Yeah, dedicate that, just like our other capital funds. We can't move, well, I should say, the board can move it around. But commitment to establish those funds, they're long-term funds. As you know, that are saved for a variety of things in the village.
All right.
I was anxious to have this meeting, actually, to have this discussion. So that we could hopefully demonstrate to you and your task force, we're committed. We're committed, but I just can't wait for you guys to get started. And I'm sure you're anxious too, probably dreading, I would like to ask for money. I've been there, done that. But you know what? Once you start doing it, you get on a roll.
Well, yeah,
So,
a lot of people say, and I think that's what Brett is saying, it's probably the easiest sales you ever had with the people.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
I hope so for all of
Okay.
your sake, but does this help?
No,
Does this?
good. I think, Tony? Tony, you there? He's-
Got a cup of coffee.
Now he's got a meeting right at 1:00. But the nice thing is, we meet tomorrow.
Okay,
And
good.
there will be, I hope, better attendance tomorrow. And we will, with the ears that are here, we will go over this tomorrow.
Great. Is Brett going to be at that meeting?
Oh, it's his meeting,
Good. Is that up here or down by him?
NWTC here, Sister Bay.
Oh, okay.
And the topic is to create now a list of builders. That's what.
Maybe not. Okay.
Okay, well,
All right. Are we settled then on topic A? Because we have two topics here.
so I'm satisfied.
You're satisfied?
But I think if Rob's satisfied.
Yep.
These guys are satisfied.
Okay.
Di is behind you. Di, do you have any?
I didn't see.
Okay.
Oh, Todd. Are you satisfied?
Okay, good. Good. Let's go on then to 5B, which is donor recognition preferences for the Anderson Dock Capital Campaign Task Force.
Yes, Jane Larson, and out of nowhere, and with an email, and she sort of, and she asked, I called last night and said, where do we get these? And she said, I put them together. But we presented this at our last meeting
Mhm.
with these 3 objects.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And they're all maritime. They would fit with it, okay? The compass rose, the helm, and the circle, that you can see the horizon and the building through it.
Mhm.
And I think, thanks, I think those that were there sort of like the middle one with the circle.
Mhm.
So we're bringing this in with another idea that, I don't, we didn't really discuss, but where would we put this?
Mhm.
So my thought was that we could take the monument point that we're gonna redo and raise it. Take the plaque that's there and put it on the knee wall up front and put this in its place. I don't know where else we would put it, showing that there, you know, and there is a stage here. We're following what our people in 72 did,
Mhm.
and then put this up so that A, you can go up and read it and see it, and 2, you could also possibly put bricks, plaques in the walk space around there for other donors. So we just present this as, how does this sit with the board? And maybe 1, this as an object, and 2, where do we put it? Okay, so that's why I wanted you to see this and think about it. And because I know, you know, we got the message loud and clear, nothing goes on Anderson Park, fine. But this to me was a good outdoor substitute for that.
Mhm.
And to me, quite a inviting entrance down to the dock to see something like this right at the head.
Yeah, and it's not meant to obstruct the view, it's meant to kind of draw your attention to it. So I thought it, to me, that's why we really chose the center option as.
Mhm.
Peer into the past.
Yeah. There you go.
Comments?
Can we have it lined up so on the summer solstice, the beam of light shines to a certain spot?
Well, I tell you what we could do.
Mhm.
I don't know.
We could put it on a time clock. It would rotate.
There you go.
Oh.
Actually, that was gonna be one of my questions, if I could. And you just said, you know, I've seen this, obviously, but I didn't know that Jane comes up with these.
She did. I
I
mean,
didn't know that either.
Which means we could pick the size,
oh, hell yeah.
and then.
We gotta
we
find
should be
somebody
able-
to build this.
Then we should be able to find out how much it costs.
Oh, yeah,
as
absolutely,
well.
absolutely.
It'd be easy to fundraise that one.
Well, I would think, yeah, you're right. And as far as placing it, you know, and this is something, it goes back and forth. You know, the board says, hey, come up with fundraising or recognition ideas. And then the task force says, yeah, the board, what do you think? And, you know, we have to go back and forth a little bit. I guess another option, I like the idea of this, you know, circle, I don't know what you call it. But would it not be possible, we could expand that little monument corner platform. You know, there is room there to expand that
Mhm.
and keep all, you know, to me, the plaque that's there is kind of, you know, along the lines of the support and continual effort, you know, towards the longevity of Anderson Dock. I could see keeping both, you know, essentially that original plaque. I still don't like all the wording, but that original plaque, and honestly, you know, probably a circle thing on one side and a smaller plaque with other donors on another side. There are going to be different grades of donor. You know, some are going to be very big, some are not going to be. They're going to be substantial, but not very big. And then there will be smaller donors, which, you know, maybe I could even qualify, depending on, you know, where that goes.
We'll see, huh?
Yeah, we'll see, exactly. But I mean, that and, you know, another level of donors could be the brass name plates on the knee wall stones.
Yeah, we could do, that's a
Yeah.
suggestion.
And if you don't, and another one is still, you know, still near to my heart, is the little, putting something brass laid down right in the concrete along the edge of the dock.
Well, we can, we can.
You know what I mean?
too, Depending on how many, and what level and whatnot.
Right.
I don't mind having these two together. I might shrink the stone that the current one was on, so it's at least, well, we can work that out.
Doesn't
We were
actually
actually
bigger than the
talking
plaque.
about when we presented the board, I don't know if you remember this or not, the different options of getting rid of that big stone because it blocks the view. And we're talking about making it much lower at a 45 degrees, so you look down,
There you
read
go.
it, and then look up and see the beauty.
Now we got this thing.
I sent you pictures, I'm trying to remember, I was somewhere in the south in the park, and it was an old park. And how it was still centered around the history of the park, but they had ways of putting names and then the donors that went around, and maybe this is in the monument area.
Well, that's.
Yeah,
that's-
Where you're still kind of focused, we still want to tell the history of the
Oh,
dock.
no doubt.
You know, that's.
As with having the plaque, having the original plaque there shows the continuity.
Right.
All right, 54 years ago, this is what they did, and let people know that this is an ongoing thing. And, well, all right. So we'll, go ahead, Tim, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, the board, at least from my perspective on the task force, it would be great to hear from the board.
Mhm.
What are your first,
Yeah, are we okay with
first
those three options?
4 or 3, 4? Are there 6 places the board would agree things could go? The task force doesn't have to use them all, but the task force could pick from them.
So right
And,
now,
the board would pick again.
what I'm hearing is one level would be the frame
Mhm.
on Monument Point and keeping the plaque there.
Mhm.
2 is brass plaques along the knee wall.
Mhm.
And these aren't necessarily in order of like
Mhm.
level of donors. And then brass, kind of, again, additional kind of plaques
Like
within the,
medallions
yes, and that's what I'm envisioning.
welded onto the
Or
pile.
into,
Well, or
Or
set into the concrete.
right,
Whatever-
or even
whatever.
around Monument Point, if that's like level 1, level 2, level 3, something like that. Does that sound?
Well,
The low unobtrusive.
right, but I'd like to keep it classy. And my example of not classy is if you go play golf at a park, and they have this,
The
I'm
board.
gonna say, yes, that's a clean way of saying it. They have this huge thing out there, and it says, birdie, par, eagle stuff, but it's not very, I would say Ephraim-like or classy. It's just gaudy, I would say, kind of.
Well, I think-
I get that we have to recognize different level of donors, but we also want to keep it
Sure.
classy to not single out everyone that would
Consider
donate
it
to us.
respectful.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Jane doesn't know it, but she's gonna really help us with this. Because she says that, well, you just go find somebody who can do this. No, Jane, you tell me. But this is great.
To me, Mike, getting back to the dock as a historic monument, if you will, a usable historic monument. It needs to be such that it's not the first thing to see. What's shouting at you is, Joe Blow, gave it to this thing. So it needs to be integrated into the whole design, which I believe this is, and I believe we could use that monument corner, the horizontal part as well as some of the vertical. As long as, in my view, again, the first thing kind of people see is, oh, I want to read the history. What's this place all about? And that plaque that we have now with maybe an update and maybe shortening a little bit. But that is the first thing to see. And then you can see, okay, here's the people that helped this become.
Sure.
And that,
Sure.
that's just my opinion. But I think,
Quite frankly, I think those people that would want their name on it would want exactly that,
I would think so too.
So,
You know,
we've got a win-win situation.
Yeah. I would think so too.
Okay.
Does this help you?
Oh, very much so, very much so.
Okay.
And then we'll find out how much this mother costs.
Oh, well,
There's that.
now we have to do fundraising for the flats.
Now we're at 1.8 million.
How about, Yeah, if you collect coins at all, if anybody collected coins, and there was a 1909 penny and the estimate mark, and then it had a VDB, which were the initials of the
I
man
have
that
50
designed.
of those.
You have how many? You have to make a donation.
When I was in 8th grade, I couldn't come up with $40. I have every penny since. 1909 SVDP, bam.
But here was just a little initial at the bottom, so we want to be subtle, but at least satisfy the people that want to see the names and like.
Sure.
You know, and I think you're on the right track with these things.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Well, thank you for coming back again. I think this was a great discussion.
We might be back.
Well, we meet once a month, and as you know, more often at times.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Sure,
Extra.
our pleasure, our pleasure. Oh, one other housekeeping thing. I noticed, I reread the minutes of when we established this task force, and it was June 10th, I believe. And it said it was for 1 year. Now, although it's not really on here, would it be good for us to take a motion to extend this for another year or another 2 years? I
You
mean,
want, yeah,
because right now,
till completion.
you're willing to do till completion?
What the hell?
The whole down and everything? No, I'm just
We're not
kidding.
going anywhere.
Okay.
Would that have to be a separate agenda item?
I think it would have to.
Okay, so we'll put it on our
The
agenda.
head's going up and down. We'll put it on the. next
Okay, yeah, yeah. So you're not out of business. I didn't want anybody to read that and say, wait a second, what
We're
is
just gonna be a
that?
rows of cap.
Yeah. Those work too, huh?
Yeah, we don't run like.
We're a task force. The village can't stop that task force from meeting.
Well, that's true. You'll no longer be a task force, but go for it.
After your last board meeting, don't get me involved with whether it's going to be rehab this building or building a new one, because there were too many permutations and commutations. I have no idea.
Hopefully, we're gonna boil that down, but stay tuned. Well, thank you very much, Mike, and thanks for the task force for attending today. Very helpful.
I move to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. We are.